Hello, people of grace. Last Sunday, we started our study in the book of Philippians and looked at the first part of Philippians chapter 1. And in that worship time and sermon time, I kind of put an idea out there to try to personify your attitude and see your mindset or your attitude as the shepherd of your own soul. And is that shepherd healing and nurturing your soul and leading it beside still waters, or is it attacking and tearing down and injuring your soul? That's the power of our attitude. And so for today, for our Pastoral Connect is kind of a bridge from last week's sermon to being an introduction for this coming Sunday's sermon. I want to talk about living on mission, and especially living on mission in our mindset or our attitude. And just looking at one verse, Philippians chapter 1, verse 14, where Paul says, "And most of the brothers and sisters, most of the children of light, have become confident in the Lord by my imprisonment, are much more bold to speak the word without fear." So that's the verse. And what I would submit to you is that Paul, because he had an appropriate attitude, even though he was in very difficult and even unjust circumstances, had a clear perception. Some people were inflicting pain on Paul by taking advantage of his bad circumstances to discredit him or diminish him or dismiss him. But Paul didn't get hung up on that. Because his attitude was good, he had a very clear and true insight that those who are, out of sincere motive following Christ are going to interpret these events better and ultimately be empowered. So a proper attitude, a biblical attitude, a Christ-like attitude, and in those ways a positive attitude, creates a clear perception about what God is doing, what Christ is doing in his body, in the church. He is building his church. And Paul's ability to have that clear perception and that positive attitude created a contagious confidence. So clear cognition, clear perception creates a contagious confidence. Paul said that most of the brothers are becoming more confident in the Lord. The idea of confidence here is a faith that is strong enough and kind of sinks into our soul from our intellect down into our gut sufficiently enough that it changes our actions. It persuades us to act differently. So a clear cognition by a leader, a good attitude by a leader, creates a contagious confidence. For that to happen, the leader must demonstrate Christ-like coping skills. Paul said they have been encouraged by Paul's imprisonment. Paul was going through an unjust situation. He was ultimately going to be under house arrest for 2 years. He spent about another year and a half or so in a lot of challenges to even get to Rome, to then sit under house arrest for 2 years. And it was all based on trumped up false charges. But Paul was coping well. How Paul processed loss, injustice, suffering. His Christ-like coping gave him a clear perception of what God was doing in the world that created a contagious confidence, and that Christ-like coping led to courageous living by more people. As Paul coped in a more Christ-like way, more people were on mission. Their courageous living led to a courageous carrying out of the commission. Clear perception creates a contagious confidence. To maintain that, we have to have Christ-like coping, and then we are courageous in our commission. And that's encouraging, and that's powerful, and the gates of hell themselves cannot prevent it. But your attitude can in your life. Let's be more like Paul and cope courageously and therefore live on mission. Have a blessed day.